Well, Heidi Hennink-Kaminski is the new dean of the country's first and best College of Communication. That's Michigan State University's College of Communication Arts and Sciences, and it's a pleasure to welcome her to campus and to MSU Today. Hello, Dean Hennink-Kaminski.
Hello, Russ. Thanks so much for this opportunity. Very excited to talk about this amazing place.
Awesome. So why don't we start a little bit about your background and some of your research interests? You're actually a Michigander.
I am born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So after 21 years in the South, I am very excited to be back home. Born and raised in Grand Rapids, and went and graduated from that other school down the road, but then launched my career in New York City working for Macy's. So I actually spent 15 years in corporate America, moved back to Grand Rapids, also worked for Steelcase. So 15 years in the corporate world, but I had my midlife moment where I really wanted to think about what mattered to me and how I wanted to make a difference. And that's when I pivoted to the academy. That took me to Athens, Georgia to complete my PhD there. And upon that time, I moved to Chapel Hill and started as an assistant professor in 2006 at UNC Chapel Hill in the Hussman School of Journalism and Media.
So I guess you already have a relationship with our new president, Guskowitz, as well.
Yes, and that was quite a surprise, I think, to both of us when we realized that we were both finalists for positions here. But a very pleasant surprise. He's a great leader and a man of integrity, and very happy to be part of Spartan Nation under his leadership.
So tell me a little bit more about your research interests.
Sure. My area of research is health communication, and I use the social marketing approach. Social marketing actually applies a lot of commercial marketing principles, the things that folks use to study how to get consumers to buy things or voters to vote. So all of the science behind that's typically applied to those types of transactions, you can actually apply to health behavior change. And so this field of social marketing emerged with the idea of how can we use these principles for social good. And this process privileges the voice of the target audience. And so I typically join teams of researchers from schools of public health or schools of medicine, and I come into those teams as the audience expert, and I spend time with the target audience understanding what that behavior change is going to look like from their perspective, and then those insights are actually used to design the intervention. And that can be the messaging involved in the intervention, but sometimes it's also the protocol and what we're expecting people actually to tangibly do. I also come back in on the back end and help with the evaluation once the intervention is completed. And I like it too. It kind of lends itself to a number of different health issues. So I've worked on grant projects tackling issues like abusive head trauma. That includes shaken baby syndrome, but I also worked on a really neat project looking at how to increase concussion reporting amongst NCAA athletes and West Point cadets. I've done quite a bit of work in the area of diet and exercise with elementary school children as well as preschool children. I did a little project as well with how to try to increase participation in foster care and participatory decision-making, trying to get patients to play a larger role working with their providers in terms of making healthcare choices. So this approach is kind of topic agnostic, and it's allowed me to work on a number of different issues.
So Heidi, there are many, but let's talk about some of the curriculum and research strengths of the college you'd like to highlight today.
Yeah, and just overall, we have an incredible reputation of excellence in both research and creative work in this amazing college. The rankings are incredible here, too. From a research perspective, we're ranked number 5 in the world. For communication in the Shanghai rankings, number 13 in communication and media studies in the QS World rankings. So the reputation is incredible and the bench is deep. We are also, though, known for training the best practitioners in the world and beyond. We have AdPR, students in our AdPR programs, our CMOs. Right now, the CMO for Ally Financial and Rocket Mortgage are our alums, but our students are really sought after at advertising, public relations, market research firms across Michigan, but also beyond our state's borders. Our journalism grads are in every major news outlet in Michigan, and our communicative sciences and disorders is placing speech-language pathologists right all over the place. So, all right, let me give you a snapshot of this amazing place. We have more than 4,000 students and 58,000 alumni who are highly engaged. We're the 5th largest college in terms of undergraduates at the university. We have 10 bachelor's programs, we have 8 master's programs, and 3 PhD programs. This is spread across 5 units: advertising and public relations department, a department of media and information. We have the communication department, we have communicative sciences and disorders, and we also have the School of Journalism. Just in great service for research, but also serving our students very well. I'm very proud of the fact that 92% of our graduates are employed full-time in their field or enrolled in graduate programs within 8 months of graduation. So it shows how well we're serving others. Some of our signature areas include health and environment communication. We have communicative and sciences disorders department and faculty are working collaboratively with the College of Nursing, with the College of Human Medicine, and with the College of Engineering. We have a health and risk communication center that's really looking at disease prevention, decreasing health inequities across populations. A lot of that work is interdisciplinary with partners across campus. In the journalism school, there's the Knight Center for Environmental Journalism. And just one amazing thing they're doing is the Great Lakes Echo Project, which is a nonprofit news service where grad students and undergraduates go out and do reporting as well as professional journalists. And then they submit those stories and it becomes a platform to communicate about some of the significant environmental issues and opportunities. One thing that's very exciting to me is we have an amazing legacy of research, but we are really pushing the boundaries of what's next. And so extended reality at ComArt Sci is very vibrant, and here we have researchers and students who are exploring extended reality. That includes virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. And what they're doing is looking at innovative ways to use these platforms and technology for teaching, for research, and for application development. One example is our GEL Lab, Games for Education and Learning. So students can actually take a look at creating virtual environments to help address a challenge or an opportunity. I stopped in there yesterday, and I think there were 7 or 8 students working in that lab and trying to use gamification to help address problems, create these virtual environments, and then have people go into these immersive experiences, either for training purposes, right, or for educational purposes. So lots happening on the extended reality front in the college. We talked a few minutes ago, Russ, about the land-grant mission. And what I'm really excited about here is our Ignite the Future program. We think this can actually become a national model for how to increase attracting first-gen and underrepresented students into 4-year degree programs, but also making sure that they succeed along the way. So this Ignite the Future program, I think we're kicking off our 4th cohort here, but it actually has 3 components to it. The first part is focused on pathways. So how do we get into high schools and help first-gen students and from underrepresented populations be able to see themselves as being successful if they were to go? Like, this is a dream, and it's actually something I can achieve. So we have outreach to high schools to try to talk about this program and try to recruit students and encourage students to apply to Michigan State. We then have a summer bridge program, and what we do is we bring these students in the summer for a week. They stay in the dorms, they get to know the campus. Really importantly, they get to know each other and build a bond with someone so that when they come to campus in the fall, we are demystifying the campus. We're making it accessible. They know where it is. They've also started to establish a cohort. They have an opportunity, too, to develop their digital storytelling skills. and work on a collaborative project together. So we're also starting to introduce them to some of the skill sets they're going to need to be able to be successful in the college. So this was my first time welcoming this group this summer. I think we had about 28 students participate. And at the end of the experience, we invite friends and family to come, and the teams show off their project that they worked on all week together. But it was very powerful to hear them share transformative moments and how valuable this experience was to them. Made me just, again, another reason to be really proud of the opportunity and the responsibility of leading this amazing college. So that's pathways. But then what do we do once they're here, right? They arrive as freshmen. It's not just like, okay, you're on your own. We have programming during their time here where they get tailored coaching. They get tailored academic planning for which courses to register for, what kinds of majors they should consider. They get to do some career exploration and also participate in experiential learning opportunities that actually take them out of Lansing and actually out beyond Michigan borders, which many of them may never have done before. So that's the second step. But the third step, too, is focusing on careers, because we don't just want to serve them well while they're here. We want to launch them well into their future. And so we actually have career-centered mentorship. We've got lots of alum who volunteer for this, and we also take them around to local companies. Three-pronged approach here in terms of serving these students and serving them well. And a lot of this, too, is I know the Michigan State overall is driving toward an 86% completion rate for students. And so a lot of times these are the students who may be tracking a little bit behind. And so a program like this can be transformational for them. And we are working on documenting it and being able to share it potentially as a national model.
So what attracted you to the deanship and leading this great college?
Well, I would say two things. First of all, I'm a very purpose-driven person, and the mission of Michigan State University and how communication arts and sciences is playing a role in that is incredibly important to me. I'm a believer in lifelong learning, also the transformational power of education and the importance of access to education, but also the commitment to improving the lives of people in communities. That kind of brings me back to my upbringing. I'm the daughter of a social worker and a nurse, and they just really taught us about how education, right, can be a game changer for people, regardless of where they've entered this world. I also learned about the importance of taking care of people and looking out for people and creating opportunities for people. My dad was a psychiatric social worker, so oftentimes he would engage in discussions at the dinner table about some of the clients and some of the challenges they were facing. So early on in life, I realized that people bring their whole selves to the table. However, we may not see all of the things they're dealing with. So people have triumphs, people have struggles, and people often need to be invested in and helped to be able to achieve, right, everything that they can do. So when I pivoted from my corporate world, right, trying to take a look at how I might be able to make a difference with my love of lifelong learning and also just trying to do things for the social good, right, and investing in the benefit of others, that was really an impetus for me to make the career change. And then, of course, I was at University of Georgia, which is a land-grant institution, and then moved to Chapel Hill, where I was for 18 years. And so the mission of serving people in communities and solving problems is just part of my DNA. And I was just incredibly excited that this opportunity opened up when I was available to consider new leadership roles.
I'm talking with Heidi Hennink-Kaminski, the new dean of Michigan State University's College of Communication Arts and Sciences, on this episode of MSU Today. And Heidi, I know you're just getting started, but as dean, some short-term goals, and if you've had a chance to think about some longer-term ones.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no shortage, right, of opportunities here in this amazing place. Well, I would just say in terms of short-term goals, climate and culture is top for me because people are at the heart of all we do. And people include faculty, it includes staff, and it includes students, and it includes alumni. Without people, none of this is going to happen, right? And we need to continue to be able to recruit and retain, right, the best and the brightest, and to also just create pathways for access. We've had significant leadership transitions, not just at the university level, but within the college. It's been about 2 years since there's been a full-time sitting dean in the college, and the return from COVID, right? Some of that is still lingering, and also the violence the community, right, experienced, which was just absolutely heartbreaking. So, the opportunity to come in at this moment, also with a new president, right, and some new leadership, at that level, just really creates an amazing new chapter. So I'm continuing my listening and learning tour. I'm on week 8 this week, and I'm trying to meet members of our community, understand their contributions and their concerns. I've had staff lunches throughout the summer, and that's just been amazing. Staff are really important, right, in the mission of the college and carry out so much. So I've really enjoyed the opportunity to understand what this place looks like from their perspective, celebrate their wins and accomplishments. I'm also beginning my tour of different labs and centers so that I can dive deeper and get a more nuanced view of what's going on with the amazing research that's happening in this place. And again, we're going to be welcoming many new faculty and new staff this fall, and of course, new students. And so the people piece is always going to be at the heart of my motivation and my strategy and where I want to make sure that we're investing. Team building is also related to this. I have a very substantially refreshed leadership team. My department chairs are amazing, and they've been in their roles, most of them, for some time. But for example, I have a new associate dean for research that we're bringing in from the University of Florida, who will be focused on growing and diversifying our grant portfolio. But other senior roles with new players are advancement. I have a new associate dean for faculty affairs and graduate studies. And so we have a great opportunity, too, when we've got new people, new ideas, and making sure I'm investing some time in developing us as leaders and as a cohort, right? Because it's going to be us working together that's going to lead things forward. Implementation excellence. Dr. Kirsten Thorson has just left to take a position as dean at Colorado State University, and she was the Associate Dean for Strategic Initiatives. So I have inherited an amazing portfolio of very interesting projects that are ready either to move out of incubator and into a permanent home in the college. For example, our Strategic Communications Master's Program, that's 100% online. And esports as well is in that mix. And so for esports, let me just brag on that for a minute, right? That's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And we started MSU Esports. It's really a university-wide endeavor. It's not just serving our students. Chris Bilski is the director of that. We've built out this amazing Alienware esports space in the college, and we're going to be actually expanding that footprint into Hubbard Hall this fall. And so it's going to be amazing, but it's not just about the competitive team, which, by the way, was ranked top in the Big Ten this year. So we've got the competition team for sure, right? But we also have opportunities for students to learn how to do the broadcasting piece of covering those things. Have you ever watched Twitch? So, I mean, that's just one example of the broadcasting piece, programming piece that goes around it. But it's also just about creating a space for community. And, post-COVID and with social media and the mental health issues and the isolation issues that so many of our youth face, what a great opportunity for particularly students who might, be gaming alone, for that to create and build a community around that, right? So the platform is there too. But we also see it's a great opportunity for career development because there's lots of careers and crossover skills associated with playing the games, competing in the games, covering the games. So Chris Bilski has really built 4 wonderful pillars around which esports is based, and the competitive team piece is only one part of it. So we need to execute well with moving that over into Hubbard Hall. There's a plethora of projects, and so the key is figuring out which ones are sustainable, which ones to invest in, and kind of continue to move down the field. And then, of course, I would be remiss not to talk about WKAR. Wow. I think we're only one of 20 universities or colleges that actually have public media embedded within our unit. And that creates some amazing opportunities for teaching. We can bring WKAR professionals very easily into the classroom. They just have to walk down the hall. Great internship opportunities for our students to be able to learn the trade. but we're also working on research endeavors with WKAR. So I'm just really excited about Sean Turner and all the folks there and what they've done. They just recently celebrated their 100th anniversary. WKAR Television was named the top station of the year for 2023, and that is the 12th time that they've been awarded that title in 13 years, which is absolutely incredible. So WKAR just continues to shine, and it just creates so many opportunities for collaboration. I will brag on them a little bit more, too. I mean, we're in this election cycle, right? Unprecedented election cycle. And so WKAR has put together some tremendous programming around what you need to know to be informed as you're casting your vote. So very robust programming there, but they're taking it beyond information and moving into action. So we will actually be an early voting site in the 9 days leading up to the November election, which will be, I think, an amazing opportunity for folks in our community to vote, but also people in the community to get a chance to come in and see the college and to see WKAR and all the value that it provides.
And Heidi, as you pursue some of these goals, maybe both some challenges and opportunities along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think we already talked a little bit about climate and culture and attracting and retaining. Here's the thing, is a challenge and an opportunity, enrollment growth. Michigan State has been increasing its enrollment every year. Well, we are outpacing the university growth 2.5 times. And so our people are finding our major sooner, which is great because they can start that career journey sooner. And hopefully their time to degree, right, is not extended. But enrollment management and student retention is a challenge for us. Increasing the number of classes we have to offer, number of student credit hours we offer. But it's not just making sure we're serving them with courses. We're also needing to advise them well. There are 12 advisors that we have in the college, and then we have the 2 career services folks. I just give a shout out to that team over in the college too, because I've just been so impressed to see how quick and responsive they are in terms of serving our students and helping them navigate, some challenges. So we've got to do number of classes, people, instructors we need to hire, advising, we probably need to add an advising person to the team, but also then career services to launch them well, to help these students with career planning, to help them preparing for, internship placement, but also, practicing interviewing skills, right, and all of those important things. So that enrollment management thing, it's great that people are finding us more and more, and we've got more students to serve. But we are a little bit pressed to continue to serve them at the level that we want to. And then, of course, funding to keep us competitive. Research startup packages, for example, to recruit top talent researchers to come here and make sure we have competitive salaries to be able to retain our brilliant scholars. They are highly sought after. And so we really, in addition to having a great culture for them to work in, we do have to be competitive in terms of what their compensation and their research support is. But also funding to expand student experiences, very student-centered philosophy from my perspective. And we are right now doing kind of an inventory of our experiential learning and identifying where we need to augment more. Sometimes that's going to be adding more experiences. But if we talk about the access mission, right? If we ever have these opportunities for students to go away to study, whether it's for a couple of days, whether it's for a week, or whether it's for a summer education abroad experience, we don't want those experiences only available to the students who come from, more substantive backgrounds. We want all of our students to be able to partake in those things. So trying to take a look at where we could end up doing some fundraising or some other initiatives to be able to cover that. Technology, teaching and research, we're a technology-intensive place. That equipment gets outdated, but it also just, even if it's not outdated, it needs to be recycled, right? And it's not just to support our faculty in their research, but it's also the students and making sure students have the equipment that they can go out into the field and do their digital storytelling, capture their assets, right? Come and do their post-production work. So all of that, right? And employers want students who know how to work with that technology so that they're ready to hit the ground running, right, when they get that first job. And then finally, our facilities. I'm not sure what year our building was built. I think it was in the 80s, early 80s. But it is not built for collaborative teaching. We have converted many spaces, which we're thrilled about what we've been able to do. But for us to really transform that space, to harness the power, right, of collaborative work with faculty and researchers, between faculty and graduate students, right, but also our undergrads need, particularly our AdPR students, they're going into a world where all you do is collaborative work, right? And those are the soft skills, right? Those are the soft skills. Employers aren't just looking for, can you code? Do you know this social media listening software, right? They're looking for, how well do you work with people? That just actually increases satisfaction with the job and helps them retain students longer, but it also just leads to better work. So I think our facilities and technology are some significant needs for us too. I know we're looking at a couple of years away from a new budget model for how funds flow back to all of the units on campus. Right now, the budget model is not built around student headcount. And so as we absorb more students, we aren't necessarily getting more of that allocation. So the provost office has been great working with us, on this. But I would say new budget model coming is going to be important, but also looking at revenue-based initiatives. So I've been very impressed with the innovative spirit of our different departments and our faculty here. And so they are constantly also looking for new programs or initiatives or trainings that we might be able to offer that leverage our expertise, but that also can bring some extra revenue back in so that helps them accomplish, right, their mission, et cetera. So an example of that would be this Strategic Communication Master's Program that's online. And so it actually serves students right across the country, not just folks who can come to Lansing for 2 years to study, right? So this is helping us capture and serve full-time working professionals. And the university recognizes if there's a new market and we create something to help solve a demand or a need for a new market, that we can capture more of that revenue back to us. We're also looking right now at launching a new digital advertising master's program that's a joint degree program with the Communication University of China. And we're very early in discussions about potentially doing a joint undergraduate degree with them in game design. So always looking for revenue-based initiatives that really augment what we're doing and contribute to the mission, just as another lever. And then I mentioned we're bringing in Dr. Sri Kalyanaraman from Florida for our new Senior Associate Dean for Research. And one of his top priorities is going to be increasing extramural funding and increasing the grants. Because what happens then too is we have the money that comes in for the work for the grant, but there's also some additional money that flows back, for example, that can help us cover the space and some of the staff, et cetera, that we're allocating for work on that grant. So, multi-pronged strategy here too, in terms of the fiscal health, right, of the college, not just for right now, right, but for the future.
And Heidi, let me broaden that question a little bit, just sort of from 30,000 feet, your sense of the challenges and opportunities for MSU as a whole and really all of higher ed moving forward.
I would say MSU's higher education has, we're all facing the same thing to a certain extent. Michigan State, I think it's rebuilding trust and trust in leadership. Yeah. And so I think that's not totally unique, but that is something that is a bit more MSU specific. And I'm just couldn't be happier that President Guskowitz is at the helm here. But I would say some of the challenges facing higher education, we're under assault. Justification of the importance of a 4-year degree program, right? And what its ROI is. And that's related to a couple things, right? To me, it's about access and affordability, right? It's like, if we're going to, first of all, it needs to be accessible for people, and they shouldn't have to take on huge, substantial student debt, right? But it also is a great responsibility for us to make sure that when they graduate, right, they're ready for a career. And so that, again, what's being done in the college, not just on the research front, but in terms of preparing undergraduates, that 90% placement, right, in jobs or in graduate school 8 months after graduating, that is ROI right there. Yes. But the reputationally, there's accountability, right? There's accountability here. I would say decreased public funding and the rising costs of education. You start to see, a gap between the privates, right, and the publics. And the publics are all about access, right, and serving. And again, I go back to my opening salvo here on this interview, the transformational power of education. So how can we keep that within reach? Demographic shifts, right? You hear about the demographic cliff, the overall population decline of high school students, which means, same thing here. I mean, Michigan State, I think, is positioned well as compared to some other universities, but still it is a significant issue. And lots of my peers at different institutions across the country, some of them are facing it already and struggling already. But then I'll also throw out there responsible, ethical, and strategic adoption of AI. And that is from how do you develop guidelines, right, without infringing on faculty autonomy? But how do we still foster innovation, right? Because yes, I know many are concerned about plagiarism and students not doing the work and letting, AI do it for them, but there's also great power from an innovation perspective. And I think for us, we need to teach students to be critical thinkers and users of the technology, the benefits and the pitfalls, how to use AI as a tool to help them think, not to think for them. And then I think we have a great opportunity to look at how industry is grappling with this too, and starting to take a look at how industry is using AI, because to the extent that our undergraduate students or our professional master's students can have wrestled with this while they're here, they're going to be even more prepared to make a difference and more marketable as they go in.
And Heidi, you led me beautifully into my last question, just your sense of the overall job market for your graduates. And as we've kind of discussed throughout, you may be training graduates for jobs that don't even exist yet.
Which is why being a critical thinker, right, is incredibly important. The curriculum at MSU has general education requirements, which are liberal arts, right? And what that does is it helps create a well-rounded person. But then the beauty, I think, of our college, too, is that we also have an opportunity to give them marketable skill sets, right, to be able to go out there. So, again, 92% job placement or grad school placement is huge. But we always have to have an eye toward that balance, because we want to prepare students for meaningful lives and careers. So we need to invest in the whole person and not just the career piece. We're tipping too far just on the skill piece. But I think that is something that Michigan State and our college delivers on beautifully.
Well, Heidi, I really appreciate this thorough update on this amazing College of Communication, Arts, and Sciences we have at MSU. Your passion is palpable and contagious.
I am so impressed with the people in the college and with what they're doing and with their passion and with their commitment, even despite uneven leadership, even despite some of the challenges and the hardships. Our students, I think, are very fortunate to be served by these people. And I also, though, can't wait to get the student energy in the hallways and get things going, and very excited to launch my first official semester, right, as the dean. It's a great responsibility, it's a great privilege, and it's a great honor.
Heidi, thanks again for the conversation, and welcome to MSU.
Thank you so much, Russ.
That's Heidi Hennink-Kaminski, the Dean of Michigan State University's College of Communication, Arts, and Sciences. Much more online at comartsci.msu.edu. And I'm Russ White. This is MSU Today.
Find, rate, and subscribe to MSU Today with Russ White on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your shows. And please feel free to share this episode if you're so inclined.
Thank you for listening to MSU Today.